What's going on, Raiders? Duelam here, and today we're going to be talking about a specific dungeon that seems to be the hardest dungeon for a lot of people. I have a good amount of friends who have been playing Raid Shadow Legends, as you should, and they have been telling me that they're just stuck on FIREKNIGHT, and I gave all of them this one tip and they were like, wow, this is kind of crazy, and a bunch of other tips as well, but one of them was kind of the biggest one that kind of changed everything for them. So if you're ready, let's get into it. But first, make sure you're clicking that download link or scanning the QR code to get Karato Fox Hunter. The second you start the game, an amazing legendary nuker. At level 10, you're going to be getting Tagore, an amazing epic support character. At level 20, you're going to be getting Fane, who's got some incredible turn meter steal, as well as some pretty crazy damage. And then at level 30, you're going to be getting Vergus, who's a defense-based champion, to help keep your other characters alive. And then, this is super important, day number 1 within the first 24 hours of making your Raid Shadow Legends account, type in promo code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong, one of the best free legendaries they have ever given. And if you're on iOS, make sure you're clicking a different link in the description to type in any promo codes. All right, let's go into FIREKNIGHT here. So we're in the dungeon section. We're going over here, and we're going to be going into FIREKNIGHT's castle. So this is definitely the hardest dungeon in my opinion. So out of like all of these, we got Ice Golem, Spider's Den, Dragon's Lair, Sand Devils, and Phantom Shogun. I think FIREKNIGHT is the most specific when it comes to what you need to beat it. So there's very specific things that you need to beat this guy. You need turn meter rewind, you need multi-hits, you need decreased speed is really helpful as well. So there's a lot of different things that you need to be able to beat this. And the biggest thing is gonna be rewinding turn meter. And that's why I use Lissandra here, because Lissandra is absolutely great. We're gonna go and look at them and look at all the champions here that I use for this. So we've got Lissandra here, who's got a turn meter rewind on actually 2 of her skills. I don't know why the pictures aren't loading, but yeah. There it is. The A2, Exhaustion, attacks one enemy, fully depletes the target's turn meter as well. Now, in some dungeons, once you get harder and harder, they do end up having that. So it's only half effective, but it's still half as good, like fully, like half deplete a target's turn meter. That's pretty nuts. And then the A3 as well places a 30% increased speed buff on our allies for 2 turns. That can go up to 3 turns as well with the mastery lasting gifts. So that's really nice. And it also decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 30%. And that is on a 4-turn cooldown. Also, she's got the aura of increasing ally speed in all battles by 24%. So Lissandra, very, very, very good in FIREKNIGHT. Absolutely amazing. The next person I use in FIREKNIGHT for rewinds is going to be Alice the Wanderer, specifically for her A2. Clockwork Cyclone. So this has a 75% chance of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. That's not really needed, but the part that is needed is a 75% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 15%. If at least one target's skill has its cooldown increased to the max, their turn meters decreases by 30% instead. So we've got 2 rewinders there. And that's very important. That gives you a lot of controlling effects, and make sure the FIREKNIGHT never takes a turn. And that's going to be the biggest part of FIREKNIGHT, is make sure he does not take a turn, because when he does destroy your max HP. He also puts decreased speed on you that you'd need to cleanse. There's a lot of things that are really bad if he ends up taking a turn. Another person I'm using is going to be Supreme Gaelic, and Supreme Gaelic is very good for multiple reasons. So we're going to talk about the A3. The A3 can place a 30% decreased speed buff on targets whose turn meter is higher than 50%. So that is really, really big there. The decreased speed is really nice. The only problem is it does have a conditional statement to it of they have to be over 50% turn meter for that to be able to land, but it's still a great way to put decreased speed out there. Very, very good. I love this ability. Also, the A2, Bloodshed Tempest, is really nice because it's a 4-hitter. And another big thing about FIREKNIGHT is gonna be getting through that shield to make sure everything that you're trying to do is landing, including rewinding turn meter. And then also the A1 is really great because the A1 will also be able to use the extending of the buff here, which is really, really nice. So you can extend the duration of any HP burn debuffs by 1 turn, which is being put on by the A3. Also, this is a double hitter, so this is also helping work through that that shield a little bit faster. The next one I use is going to be Kale, actually. Kale is very helpful here, especially because of the A3, because it attacks 4 times at random, but there's only 1 enemy. So it's going to be all on the boss, and that's going to be taking out 4 of the hits right there. And then we also have Phantom Touch, which can also inflict another hit. So technically 5 of those hits are gone immediately. And if you start getting into harder versions of Fire Knight, he's going to have like 20 shield hits, I believe. It gets really high up there. I'm in like the 12s right now, and it's still pretty difficult, but pretty awesome nonetheless. And then last up, we're going to be using good old Duchess here. So Duchess is great because her A1 is a 2-hitter, which is great. Her A2 is also very good. Block debuffs, increase attack buff on all allies as well, and a Perfect Veil. So if the Fire Knight does end up taking a turn, you will have Perfect Veil up, so you don't have to worry about taking as much damage. We also have the team-wide revive as well, and placing the Veil and the continuous heal out, which is just absolutely amazing. And then you're also having the Ethereal Ways, decreases the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25%, 15% for bosses in this case. So absolutely amazing. Duchess is very, very good there as well. So that's the team I'm running. And I know it's different for everybody, but those are the kind of mechanics that I'm running more than the team, because everybody's roster is different, right? So when it comes to this, the next biggest thing, and this is the biggest tip of all when it comes to Fire Knight, is going to be clicking on this left-hand side here, clicking Team Setup. And then you see I have a bunch of teams saved here. So the team that you're going to be using, make sure you click on that team, and then you hit the little, it kind of looks like an abacus here. So click there. And then what you can do is you can set up cooldowns, and you can make sure that they are using specific turns in specific orders when they're autoing. So this will help you a lot when you're doing like the Arbiter missions, and you're able to kind of manipulate the turn order without actually having to play it to get through those Arbiter missions when you have to auto through it. So round 1 here, which is going to be wave 1, and then you have round 2, which is wave 2, and then round 3, which is the boss. So we mainly we want to talk about round 2 and round 3. Round 1 really doesn't matter. Round 2, I make sure Lysandra only uses the A3 Energize on the first turn, and that does not use it after that, because I want her to open up with Energize that turn meter increase and the increased speed as well. I want her to open up with that on the boss, because that's going to be able to get me ahead of the boss a lot quicker. So you see she opens up with that. Obviously it's going to prioritize the A3 already, so I don't need to like put the little opener here. I can. It doesn't really change anything though. Specifically for Supreme Gaelic, I make sure he does not use the A2 at all on round number 2, because I want him to have the A2 on round 3, and I also have him using it as his default opener, because that's going to rip through that shield very, very quickly, which is awesome. Now, specifically with Alice, we didn't talk about it, but specifically with Alice, we want her to start with the A1, because we want her doing that multi-hit. So that multi-hit is extremely important because it helps get through that shield initially, which is absolutely amazing. Then she's going to end up doing her A2, which can do that turn meter rewind. Now I have the A3 turned off because it's just not useful, honestly. There's nothing worth putting in here. I know it does get some good damage, but I'd rather not risk it and always have either the A1 going off to get that multi-hit, or the A2 going off to be able to get that rewind out there. For Duchess, we have starting off with the A1 as well, because again, it's a double hitter. We want to make sure you're getting through those shields, and then she can use anything she wants. She'll never use the A3 unless there's somebody to revive, so it's pretty much bouncing between the A2 and the A1. Now, Kale, starting off, opener, and always going to be the primary is going to be used here, the A3, because of that quad hitter again, and it's actually a 5 hitter because of Phantom's Touch. And then you could use the A1 after that. It gives that poison debuff as well. The A2 is not really worth it because it's a single hitter, and I don't want the A2 to be used because it doesn't really do anything. I'd rather get the poisons from the A1. The A2 does hit everybody and has a 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit, but it fills turn meter by 25% for each enemy killed. I'm not going to be killing the boss with this, and even if I am, the turn meter bonus is not helpful there, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So this team works very, very well in Fire Knight at the level that I am at. I have not tried going past this in quite a while, so I've been on 22 for a while. I might end up switching out somebody here and putting in Titus, because Titus is very, very good. Geomancer is also very good for this because he can do a big turn meter rewind as well. So maybe running in Geomancer in here would be very helpful. But I wanted to make sure I talked about this because I think this is a big pain point, a big sticking point for a lot of people when it comes to Fire Knight and how to get through it. So that's going to be some of my best tips to get through it. If you want more tips as well, you can always click on this right-hand side here, Boss Guide, and you could see what everything is happening, and it's a giant page to be able to go through here, to be able to see what the best way to get through this is and how it all works. And then there's also teams of the week here, which does not really help a lot because unfortunately this has a lot of characters that I don't have, but you see Alice is very useful here. Deacon is very good here as well. Deacon is very, very good because of the turn meter gain as well as the decreased defense that gets put out there. So Deacon's very good. We obviously have Alice. We have Ninja as a nuker. Thor as a nuker. You see a lot of mythicals being used. This guy's got a triple newt, which is absolutely disgusting. So yeah, there's a lot of options here, but unfortunately this does not really... this doesn't really help you all that much because it's a lot of characters you don't have, like Marius. Like, I don't have Marius yet, but I wanted to talk about it, let you guys know my thoughts, how I'm kind of navigating Fire Knight, help you guys out a little bit because I know it's a big pain point. Hope this helps you out a good amount. If it did, let me know down in the comment section. If there's any tips that you guys can help out with as well, let me know down there because I'm genuinely curious. I want to keep learning, keep sharing the information that I am gathering. But until next time, this has been Duelim. Later, Raiders.